Cool. Well, yeah, thank you for this in advance. I appreciate it.
Of course.
I guess the first question I have is tell us a little bit about your business, what you do.
Yeah, for sure. So I run a couple of businesses. I started with a website called buzzfeed.com, um, where people can share and discover cannabis related products and services. And through that business, I was fortunate enough to get involved in a lot of ancillary products. Best known product that I've probably launched is Chill Steel Pipes, which is the world's first double wall vacuum insulated stainless steel smoking apparatus. Um, yeah, some people will call it the Yeti of bongs.
The Yeti of Bongs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, cool. And what challenges were you facing with Chill Steel and your other businesses that led you to seek us out, to seek high-end graphics?
Yeah, for sure. So I have a pretty decent design capability myself. Having studied it in school, but it's a super time-consuming part of the job. So I have a strong appreciation for good design, and I have an understanding of the importance of good design. Unfortunately, when all of that design landed on my shoulders, a lot of it never got done because I had to do everything else in the business. So I was
Right.
looking for a solution that was quality, affordable, and understood our industry.
So yeah, like even though you had a design background, it's still you've got to manage all these aspects of the business, and yeah, it's like design is just something would probably take a lot of time to away from the more important things that you personally have to focus on.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how good you are at design; it still takes time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome, man. How did you find us? How did you find high end graphics?
I honestly think you hit me up via DM on IG, uh, probably. And I looked at the work, and whenever I look at design work, I always look at illustration capability because I feel like that gives a good indication as to somebody's ability to create something out of thin air. Um,
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of people are able to do um, layout, right? Like layout is not design. Design is illustration, layout, photo composition, um, thinking through colors, fonts. There's so much more that goes into it. And yeah, I just felt like your guys' illustration capability in particular was really strong. So I decided to give you a call back.
Nice, amazing. So yeah, I mean, obviously I'm in agreement because that's what we focus on is hiring not only layout but illustrators. So that's awesome. And have you worked with other designers that, maybe they're good at layout, but you find they're falling short as far as a full complete designer?
I find that that's the case with myself, right? Like I can lay stuff out pretty quickly because I've done it enough times, but to have an original idea and bring it to life is really challenging. And I've worked with great designers who can do all of it, but it's also, I live in New York, so great designers who can do all of it might cost me, you know, $5,000 a week,
Yeah, for sure.
or 20K a project type thing. It just depends. Um, and yeah, I feel like yeah, illustration is just like this thing that people just assume happens.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And your experience working with our team, how's the workflow with from you, having an idea to giving it to our team and the whole experience with the workflow?
Yeah, it's been really good. I mean, obviously we have a dedicated project manager that we work with, super fast, working in Asana as a project management portal is really good. We get a great initial response. We get a designer assigned to the product project, and usually within 48 hours, we're close to having, if not already, having a final product that I can put into market. Because as much as I'd like to think I'm a really good project manager and have a great concept of time, I absolutely don't. Whenever I need stuff, I need it now or very soon. And you know I feel bad about that sometimes, but the team's been able to keep up with the demands of the business.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. And what kind of projects, what's like the scope of the type of work you've given?
Lots of stuff. I'd say everything from like hero banners for my website, down to my wholesale catalog, to brand guidelines. We've worked on projects with a couple other brands under my umbrella, and the team's ability to get, if some of these brands are so brand new, you don't need brand guidelines that are you know you're not GE, right? But to have fonts and colors and logos and some basic semblance of what guides your brand, I've been really impressed with the team's ability to pull those together very quickly and give us something to work with as we move forward with all of these other aspects of the business. But yeah, I mean everything.
You mentioned that you have other brands you work with, so sort of a like a white label kind of a thing, right? Like they're coming to you and then you're utilizing our team to get the production work done. How is that valuable for you and how's that that white label aspect?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, in addition to obviously, I own Chill Steel Pipes, right? I'm one of the founders of that company, and so a lot of the work that I need done there is coming out of my own head and out of the demands of our business.
Mhm.
Um, but like I said with BuzzFeed, a big part of my business model is helping other brands kind of get to that next level or launch, right? And
Mhm.
so they have varying needs of these things. If it's a launch, we're going to need brand guidelines, we're going to need logos, we're going to need um, really the fundamentals. Sometimes there's a brand that'll come to me that needs help with maybe their wholesale distribution or something like that, something get them over the hump, and they're a mature brand, and they just have a catalog that needs updated, and they don't have a designer in house. I'd say that range gives me a lot of flexibility to support all of those people. And I don't necessarily even try to do it like an agency. I do it because I can't really help them if they don't have the tools to go sell their product.
I realized, like, just a question because there'll be a lot of new brands. Maybe they think design is something that's like a nice to have, not necessarily maybe a need to have, or they're early. How important do you feel design is to in the early stages of a brand coming up, and even towards the later stages? But for those out there that they're kind of just saying, maybe they're like, oh, I'll get to design when we get more income. How do you feel about that?
I would say that design is the only thing that makes an idea real, right? So that starts with the product, of course, and oftentimes a name,
Mhm.
right? Um, but from there, I think people really underestimate what design does for a business, and the fact that only a designer can take anything that's in your head and turn it into a real thing, even if it's absolute bullshit. Like think about how many pitch decks go out there and people are like, I have an idea. What do?
Yeah.
You put in a deck and you design that deck and you try to create renders of those images. You try to create a visual of what the idea is, because that's the way that we as human beings can consume that information easily. Nobody really gets away launching a product with a Word document, right?
Right.
You
Yeah.
need the design is like mission critical. And I think I think a lot of companies don't invest in their visual design because they feel like they need to wait. And sure, like in some cases, you might need to wait a little bit for that really nice website, or um, that really great packaging. Like there's certain things that you might have to wait on because it's too expensive, but not having any kind of fundamental basic design resource within your company is a disservice to your company.
Yeah. Awesome, man. It's refreshing to hear that because and especially I wanted to ask you because you do have experience helping brands take them to that next level. Besides just design, I mean, you're like consulting all around for up and coming brands. So yeah, it's interesting to ask your opinion because obviously we could tell design's important to you, but maybe others who watch this will kind of want to know that from an expert at building businesses.
Yeah, I mean, I started my career, you know, in advertising, writing commercials. I moved on to business development, um, and spent a good chunk of my career running digital marketing for American Express, Frito-Lay, PepsiCo, Purina, Nestle, Unilever, right? Big,
Yeah,
big
wow.
brands. And I think I took for granted the fact, those companies have a lot of money, right? And so I had a, a stable of designers and art directors and copywriters and video producers in my business all the time.
Hmm.
So when I went on this entrepreneurial journey and I realized like my portfolio included all these great things, but none of them would have been possible without a designer, you think
Yeah.
about that, and it was difficult. And I think most people don't have that background that I have, and so
Hmm.
they definitely don't realize how important it is, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Awesome. And with working with us, would you recommend high-end graphics to others? And if so, why?
Yeah, I mean, high-end graphics, it's predictable in terms of your cost. The speed is there. The team can get a lot done if you're able to keep the plate full and the pipeline of projects full, and the work quality is great. There have been times where I've put out a concept and it is, to me within 24 to 48 hours, and it's 80% on point, based on me providing a little write up in Asana, right? And
Yeah.
so, um, you know, people aren't just pushing pixels on your team, they're putting a lot of creative energy and thought into what they're creating. And I think that's what's important. Again, it's layout is relatively easy, and I think a lot of people that call themselves designers are probably good at layout,
Hmm.
but your team has shown their ability to understand what vision you have and bring it to life. And sometimes it's within 24 to 48 hours, but I've never had a project with you that's lasted longer than a week without nailing it, and getting
Yeah.
it done and across the finish line. I'd also say the team is really good about taking feedback. You always feel a little resistant to provide people with feedback because
Sure.
you don't want to ruffle feathers, and the team doesn't get ruffled. They don't get frustrated or upset or what, they keep plugging along, trying to achieve what you're asking for.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that's good to know because that's what we try to show on our end. There's like, I guess, like mutual patience, because if you've got the patience to keep working, then we're like, yeah, give us the feedback. And I kind of coach the team too, like, nothing's ever personal, and most of the designers I have on the team, they're already at that level. So that's good to know that, just that feeling of patience that will get to that finish line.
It's a hard part of, especially when I was running the companies, right? When I was running ad agencies and stuff like that, that was definitely like you really had to deal with the emotional side of the business and stuff like
Right.
that. And at the end of the day, everybody's just trying to get the job done so they can, you know, relax on the weekends and enjoy the money that they made for doing the work, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, this has been awesome. I mean, your feedback, I think, besides this video, just as valuable for me to hear your thoughts, because I respect you as a business owner, so I'm always just absorbing anything that you have to say. But yeah, is there any like final thoughts or comments you want to add before we wrap the video up?
Yeah, I would just say, from my perspective, I'm recommending, I'm obviously continuing my relationship with you, and I'm recommending you to, if a brand is in a position where they can afford to bring on the team full time, I tell them that there's not much money better spent in the industry. I feel like you guys are doing a tremendous job, and I think the value is really can't be beat.
Amazing. Thank you so much. This is super helpful.
You bet, bro.
Really
No
appreciate you.
worries.